I thought it was interesting that when he meets his heroes and they're rude, he doesn't draw a correlation about how he treats people that meet him. When I was a young comic, I met him and it didn't go the way I'd hoped, and it pissed me off, and I've been holding on to that forever.
No, I'm not a Maron. I don't like him at all. I think he's a piece of shit. I see the way he acts and the way he talks and the way he's just like a smug prick.
I'll say this in my defense. I have no idea who he is.
Someone should really check on Jeff Dye. He's been feuding with Marc Maron for the past 8 months. He's been calling him names, trashing his comedy, his persona, then gone on to say the beef is squashed before trashing him again, at the same time complaining about the comments being too mean. Meanwhile, Marc barely knows who he is. So this whole thing first came to light because Jeff took some shots at Marc on Bert Kreischer's podcast early this year.
Yeah.
And that's probably why Obama didn't come on, probably why Biden didn't come on,
Well,
probably
Obama
why
went on
Kamala
Marc
didn't.
Maron.
Yeah, we went to that cat-infested house, and that's what I think's so great, is that like Marc Maron's still like the most grumpy, miserable fuck in our industry, and he had everything.
He still has everything.
Yeah, he has everything. He can't be happy.
He has a gorgeous house.
He just can't be happy. The president went to your shitty garage, and you're still miserable. You go to the comedy store, everyone falls in love with themselves to talk to you, and you're still mad. What's it gonna take for?
I think it's a disposition thing. I love Marc, and we all love Marc.
It's risky to bring him up.
No, he's trashed me, and then we had to have a conversation about it. Yeah, and I want to have Marc on the podcast to talk about it because it was supposedly a misunderstanding.
Now, this is where Bert Kreischer, I was going to say fanned the flames, but it's more like he poured gasoline on it. He has Marc Maron on his podcast a month later to clear up his own misunderstanding with him, and for some reason throws Jeff under the bus.
We're like high school kids.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
It's just the gossip between us is pretty wild. Yeah,
it's fucking crazy. But
I had Jeff Dye on here the other day.
Who?
Jeff Dye.
Yeah,
and he was trashing you, but it was just him upset that you were rude to him, and he was like, I fucking love Marc Maron.
Now, to be fair to Jeff, at this point, he was barely trashing Marc. He points out that he's miserable, but everyone knows that, and most importantly, Marc knows that, but this definitely makes things worse. And still, you could see that Jeff had an issue with him. And before I play Marc's response, just imagine that this fat, drunk, lumpy comedian says, hey, this guy that you've never heard of was trashing you. You might naturally go on the defensive.
But it's like, that's the way you talk about someone at high school. You're like, wait, what? He fucking did what? Like but he was just like,
he was mad at me.
He was mad at you because you were rude to him when he was younger or something.
Well, you know, I'll say this in my defense. I have no fucking idea who he is. Like whether he was in high school or now, no idea who we're talking about. Zero idea. So in light of that, I'd like to apologize for being a dick to him when he was a child. And I'll try to check out his comedy if I have time.
That might be the single hardest I've laughed on a podcast in a long time.
So Marc basically daddies Jeff. It's pretty humiliating. Now Jeff has this fat, red, lumpy drunk laughing at his expense. I mean, Bert even does his signature piggy squeal, which Jeff didn't get when he took his shots at Marc. So now Jeff is likely jealous that Bert didn't laugh like that when he called Marc miserable. So Jeff is salty at this point and finds himself on the MLC podcast. It's not that well known, so Jeff maybe feels like he can be a little loose with his words and starts taking shots at Marc. This time though, you could tell it was a lot more personal.
I agree.
Have you done Maron's show?
No, I'm not a Maron. I don't like him at all. I think he's a piece of shit.
Wow.
Nice. Yeah, what is it? Has he ever done anything to you? You just don't like him?
I don't have to be like, I see the way he acts and the way he talks and the way he's just like a smug prick. And then
you nailed it, smug prick, and we have a working title, smug prick. That's what he is. He's a smug prick. I only got into podcasting because Lenny Marcus, my original co-host, was like, Marc Maron's popular. His podcast is doing well. I'm like, well, if he can do well, anybody can, because he's the most unlikable, smug prick anyone's ever met. That's a fact.
He's a jerk. Also, like, he shit on me when I was an open micer. I literally was like an open micer who was having a good set. And then someone in
California?
No, in Seattle, where I'm from. And it was at Giggles Comedy Club. I'm no one. I'm just a shitty open micer. And he used he couldn't wait to just dunk on me. Like I was having a good set, and I was just, for an open micer, and someone goes, "Oh, Jeff's doing good in there," and then Mark was like, "Yeah, he's really fearlessly attacking the mundane." Like he was like mad that I wasn't a brilliant comedian, and then he gets on stage and did like 10 minutes about an iPod. I mean, he's not a good comic. Who the fuck is he to make fun of anybody's comedy?
Wow.
I don't know why we're listening to him either. Like, he's always miserable. He's always hassling some woman or some young girl comic and then complain. Like, I don't get why everybody has any interest in Marc Maron at all.
He's like Rob Saul.
Yeah, even when he's crushing it. Like, the guy's always acting like he's doing bad. Like, he had, like, Barack Obama was the sitting president, went to his little cat-infested garage and did his stupid podcast. And if you look at Mark, he's still, like, grumpy at a coffee shop, like he's getting no respect. He's a useless fuck.
That has to be the most hateful shit-talking I've seen amongst comedians. Jeff cannot stop calling him names. He even says he's not a good comedian. And, I've heard other comics take shots at Marc Maron, but they almost always preface it with that, he's a decent comic. Then we have Kevin Brennan, who takes things too far.
That's why his girlfriend died, because of his fucking shitty fucking bad karma. He finally found a girlfriend that he wasn't going to dump, and the universe is like, yeah, we're going to take her away from you. And he's all sad. He treats women like shit. Everyone we dated in New York, he would like leave them, and he's a fucking creepy, like you said, a smug prick.
Wow, back in New York, he would leave every woman that he dated. Apparently that's the most shitty thing that Mark did. He broke up with his exes. I don't know if Brennan is jealous. It kind of sounds like Mark may have taken one of his girlfriends.
He shit on me when I was an open micer. I literally was like an open micer who was having a good set.
So when Jeff was just starting out, Marc Maron took what sounded like a light jab at Jeff's material, and he hasn't let it go. Now, I think that's partly the reason, but I also think Mark's response to Bert also further pissed him off.
I'm not a Maron. I don't like him at all. I think he's a piece of shit.
So some months pass, and Jeff and Mark run into each other at the Comedy Store and end up clearing the air, which is nice to hear, right? But then Jeff retells the story shortly after on his appearance on The Fighter and the Kid, and given that they supposedly squashed the beef, it seems like he's still upset.
You posted on Instagram, so I thought it was interesting. There was a picture of you talking to Marc Maron.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Did you have beef with him or something?
So all that happened was that when I was an open micer, Marc Maron was very rude to me. And I went on Bert Kreischer's podcast, and I was trashing Mark because I was just trying to make a point that on Marc Maron's podcast, when I listen to it, he'll be like, I'm going to make up an artist, but he would say like, I met Jimmy Page and he was a fucking asshole. And I was like, I thought it was interesting that when he meets his heroes and they're rude, he doesn't draw a correlation about how he treats people that meet him. When I was a young comic, I met him and it didn't go the way I'd hoped, and it pissed me off, and I've been holding on to that forever.
And so Maron went on Bert Kreischer's, and Bert Kreischer brings this up.
Yeah, and Bert just goes like, Jeff Dye was in here trashing you. I was like, Bert, don't bring it up like that. Yeah. And then Bert did try to explain it a little bit, and Marc Maron just dunked on me and was like,
Maron just goes, I've never heard of him.
I don't even know who the fuck this is, which was funny.
I believe he probably didn't know.
Sure,
He
yeah.
probably was like,
And also, but he kind of proved my point that he doesn't care. He looked rude by saying that, in my opinion.
Mark saying that he didn't know who Jeff was clearly annoyed him, and tries to make out that it's rude, which Brian and Brendan don't seem to agree. Brian even compliments Mark during this story. Here's where it gets a little more strange. He starts describing how much the comments hurt his feelings.
But all the comments were just, fat female comics and like door guys that are like, yeah, Jeff Dye sucks. So that kind of hurt my feelings. And then also, I thought it was interesting. One of the guys goes, oh, did Jeff Dye get his feelings hurt? And I was like, yes!
I know comments can be mean, welcome to the internet, but it feels like he's including them to the story to help justify his hate towards Mark, as if Mark is behind those comments. In reality, he has nothing to do with it, but it's okay, guys. Jeff did have a little win during this interaction at the Comedy Store, according to his story.
So anyways, long story short, Marc Maron comes up to me at the Comedy Store, and he's coming right at me, and he's looking at me.
You're in the hallway
So
there.
it's like a shark coming at me. I go, oh, it's going to happen
By
now.
the OR?
Yeah, by the OR. I just got passed like that week. And he comes right up to me and just, I as a smartass, I said, hi, I'm Jeff Dye. Because he said he'd never heard of me. He doesn't know who I am. And then he kind of smirked, and then he goes, you want to talk about it? And I was like, Yeah,
for
I mean,
Mark.
I also grabbed him by his arms and I said, "Hey, dude, you don't have to do this. I'm giving you the out right now. It was just me. I got my feelings hurt. Like you said, it didn't go my way, and I wished it would have because I looked up to you. And it's okay. We don't have to do this." He goes, "No, I think we should."
So Jeff put his arms on Mark and looked down at him and said, "Hey man, you don't have to do this." This right here feels like payback for the way Mark daddied him by saying,
I'd like to apologize for being a dick to him when he was a child. And I'll try to check out his comedy if I have time.
so Jeff feels like he needs to get him back for that. By grabbing both his arms, Jeff is asserting that he's the daddy now. Well done, Jeff.
And we talked and we hashed it out for about 15 minutes. I told him,
What did he say?
everything.
What
that
did
you
he
guys
say?
He was upset because I went on Kevin Brennan's and called him a smug prick. And he goes, "I'm fine with that. I am a smug prick," which he chuckled about. He was great sense of humor about it, great like attitude about it.
Yeah.
He was more upset about what Kevin Brennan will go hard.
Savage.
And Kevin Brennan's like, "That's why his girlfriend died," you know? He's like, "Oh, and I didn't say any of that. But I'm also not going to defend Mark on that podcast when he's being, so I just kind of stayed quiet.
Good
while
for Mark.
Kevin
Good for
said-
Mark for making it
Yeah,
right.
and it was really good. It went really well. It was very nice for me. Probably better for me than for Mark.
So a few weeks later, Mark is on Howie Mandel's podcast and Howie wants the scoop, right? So he asked Mark if he had any friction with any fellow comedians. To me, it seems like Mark doesn't hold much ill will towards Jeff. He seems pretty indifferent and actually has a more mature take on the whole thing.
There was a guy that was talking shit about me for a while, and it was brought to my attention. I really didn't know who he was, and it was really his problem. But it's like, he's publicly, talking shit, and and he recently got passed over the store, and I had to, just say, "You can be all right," or is what do we? Yeah, I work here, so are you okay?
Can I say his name? Or
Jeff Dye.
Jeff Dye.
Yeah, I mean, and
You didn't even know who he was.
I didn't. I really didn't. That culture of that is nothing but destructive. So when someone's talking shit and they continue to do it, and you're alive, it behooves you to, instead of engage in a public way, to go, would you want to resolve this, or you just want to keep talking shit?
Maybe Mark makes himself look like the mature one, which inadvertently makes Jeff feel like a child. Damn, so I guess Mark has daddied Jeff again. Mark has had disputes with other comedians over the years, and he's likely been rude to a ton of open micers. I get the sense that he knows that people think he's an arsehole, and would now rather tackle it in a constructive way rather than trashing him on a podcast. Following this, Jeff was recently on Legions of Skanks, and he's asked about this Marc Maron situation.
So yeah, he went on to a bunch of different podcasts. But did you have a specific beef with him?
Who exactly is Marc Maron again? I don't
there we
know.
go.
That's the game he played with me. He had no idea who I was.
Yeah.
That's the guy with the great stamps.com bit, right?
That's him. Same guy.
That's supposed to get some good laughs. No, it was nothing. He was just mean, and then I talked about it on a podcast, and then he was like, "I don't know who that is," and then it got like blown out of proportion, and then everyone was like, "Oh, did Jeff Dye get in his feelings? Did he get his feelings hurt?" I was like, "Yes, that was the whole point."
Yeah.
Yes, my feelings were hurt. I was
So
like,
how was he mean to you? What did he?
I was just an open micer, and he was really rude to all of us.
Okay.
And I was trying to make the point that like.
Now, how long ago was this?
2006 or something.
Okay, so nearly 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But as a professional comedian now, if you ever go to an open mic, don't you almost kind of get it now?
Oh, for sure.
Don't you sort of want to be mean to them?
Well, no, I don't even care. Like, I would literally brought it up because I was like, he always talks about how, like, I met, like, Jimmy Page and he was a fucking asshole to me. And I'm like, yeah,
Right,
that's how you treat all the young comics. Like, I was just making, like, a correlation between the two. And somehow it's, like, boiled up into, like, I heard you and Marc Maron are going to fight. I was like, no, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
I don't even know what's going on, and I don't even care. Bro, it really seems like you do care when you're trashing him 20 years later after he was mean to you. He explains it as if other people are juicing things up when he was the one that kept talking about it. He first brought it up on Kreischer and then MLC. So now Jeff is back to no longer being cool with Mark because of how he described their complicated situationship on Howie's podcast. To me, it looks like Mark is simply stating what happened, saying that Jeff was talking shit, which he clearly was, and Mark went up to him and asked, "Hey, do you want to continue talking shit or hash it out?" And they did. But I guess that somehow hurt Jeff's feelings.
But didn't you see him over the years at the Comedy Store?
Yeah, I've seen him over the years. Like I said, like it was like shouldn't even have been a beef, but he was really nice about it. I let it go.
And then like a week later, it's like he forgot that we made up. He was like, "This guy's been talking shit." I was like, "I wasn't talking shit."
Oh, he went on a podcast again.
Yeah, on Howie Mandel's, and he was like,
can we see
that?
well, that's what I saw.
Yeah.
With Howie
a bit of a
Mandel.
twat. I've heard him.
It's just a little strange. I don't care at all. Mark, live your fucking life.
Guys, Jeff doesn't even care. He doesn't even know why it's a beef and thinks it shouldn't even have been a beef. He's right on that last point, but I think he's forced to say that he doesn't care, especially after they start asking about the timeline and hey, didn't you see him over the years? At that point, he has to say he doesn't care and act confused as to why this is a whole thing. Jeff even tries to make out that he wasn't talking shit and that it was Kevin Brennan that was doing the shit talking.
Things pop up where everyone's like, "You were talking shit." I was like, "No, Kevin Brennan was talking shit about you." And why would I defend your honor? You were rude to me, like really to my face. So I was just letting Kevin riff, and I'm not gonna go, "Hey, don't talk about Mark like that." Like that's not how things work. You're a dickhead to me, so I just let Kevin riff.
I don't like him at all. I think he's a piece of shit. I see the way he acts and the way he talks and the way he's just like a smug prick. I mean, he's not a good comic. Who the fuck is he to make fun of anybody's comedy?
I was like, I wasn't talking shit.
I don't need to say that Jeff is full of shit because the clips speak for themselves. Then Jeff tries to say that Mark is punching down by naming him as a comic that he's had issues with.
I also want to preface this video, if we're going to show this video, all Howie asked was that you've had controversy with comedian or with other comics.
Right.
And Mark has somehow forgot that he's had controversies with a million comedians and immediately goes to, nah, just Jeff Dye. How's that possible?
Wait, I mean, he had
WTF was started because he had such a terrible reputation.
showdowns with Louis C.K.,
John Stewart,
with
Joe
Bill
Rogan.
Burr.
Why is
and,
my
like,
name coming up?
Bill
Yeah,
Burr.
that is-
fucking Gallagher.
Talk about punching down. Like this
Still one
guy
of my fa-
literally
That
didn't
is-
even know my name till a month ago.
I know.
Maybe Jeff's name was brought up because out of all the comics that Mark has had issues with, Jeff is the one that was recently taking shots at him. I don't see how Mark is punching down just because he's more famous. It's like he's desperate to make Mark look as bad as possible. He obviously still hates him. Maybe Mark took one of his girlfriends as well because this beef seems a little out of left field. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, but first, please guys, don't be mean to Jeff because he's had enough mean comments and he doesn't like them very much, okay? Catch you guys later.